Hello there, good day to you. Today we're going to be looking at Enter the Gungeon, which has quickly become one of my favourite video games of all time. And we're basically just going to do a full analysis and review and also a guide all in one in a really long video. So stick around and yeah, I have many thoughts about this game. A lot going on. So what we're going to do is I've recorded a few of my runs. I just did a bunch of runs in a row, and I just chose to mainly show one of them, and it's going to be the 5 main chambers of the game. The game has 5 main chambers, which are 5 different floors, and there are secret chambers, secret bosses, true endings, but we're not really going to be covering those. So here we are. Enter the Gungeon is pretty excellent. It's, as you can see, it's a top-down roguelike, so whenever you die you have to start all over again. The story is that there is this big dungeon where everything is gun themed, and our heroes, our Gungeoneers, they have come there because there is rumours of a gun that can kill the past. There's literally a gun that can kill time, and that premise was one of the first things that really got me into this, because I just found it hilarious that the entire premise of the plot is a gun that can shoot the past. I love the absurdity of it, so I'm in already with that. But then the game just plays really well. It's snappy, it's precise, all the bullets are bright and clear and just slow enough and just fast enough where you can react to them in time. The presentation is absolutely top notch. You can see all the little particle effects, which aren't really particle effects, they are individual sprites, but for everything, like shell casings, for all the liquid, for like books and things that are thrown off of tables. It's actually pretty impressive. And I'm petting the dog. So, Enter the Gungeon has been out for a while now. I'm mainly spurred on to do this video by the fact that its final update has recently dropped. It's called A Farewell to Arms, and it adds a bunch of new items and weapons, 2 new playable characters, and a new secret floor. I've not actually beat that secret floor yet, but there is an absolute ton of content in this game, so you can't really hold me hostage for that one. So, you start with a different starting gun and ability or equipment depending on which Gungeoneer you choose. We're playing as the Hunter here. The Hunter starts with a pretty decent starting gun, but she also starts with a crossbow, which can kill a lot of the basic enemies in 1 hit or 2 hits. So if you want a good early game, you're going to want to choose the Hunter. Some of the others get better bonuses down the line. For example, the pilot gets a item which lets him have a chance of unlocking chests without actually having a key. So he's a bit more of he can get much luckier than the Hunter can, but he's got the disadvantage of having just a terrible starting gun. So, when it comes to Gungeon, I would say the top thing to bear in mind is don't get hit. Now that seems pretty obvious. That's kind of what you want to be doing in most video games. But it's something to bear in mind as a priority in Gungeon, because you're sometimes concentrating so hard on hitting the enemies. You really need to be keeping your eyes on your character at all times. You really need to be learning to dodge over a priority from killing the enemies. You need to be looking at bullet patterns. You need to be looking at how you can avoid them. And another trick I picked up over playing it for a while is that you need to remember to roll into the bullets a lot more. A lot of players, when they first start, they tend to roll away from bullets, and that's going to get you killed a lot, because you're basically using your I fell in a pit. You're basically using your iframes to dodge the bullet and then rolling straight back into the path of them. So it makes more sense to roll towards the bullets a lot of the time. So as you can see, you can teleport to any room that you've already completed. This makes things a lot quicker when you need to go back to rooms like chests and unlock them. And you can unlock chests with keys. It's one of your few currencies you can get. You have money, you have keys, and you have blanks. They're your collectibles. Money is what you would imagine. Money lets you buy things at the mini shops. Keys are items that sometimes you can get for clearing a floor, but they are used for unlocking doors and chests for getting new items. And blanks are very special. They're a special item that clears all of the bullets on the screen, all the enemy bullets, so it gives you like a fresh start if you're in an impossible situation. So we're coming up on the first boss here, but what we're going to do is we're going to switch to an alternate timeline where I actually cleared the boss without taking any damage, just to show you what a perfect run of the boss looks like. And the first boss we're going to go against is the Trigger Twins. Not the hardest. I would say in the middle of the floor 1 bosses. So there's 3 floor 1 bosses to go against. The main thing you need to remember when you're fighting these guys is just fight one at a time. Just completely ignore one and fight the other. Because from what I can tell, when one dies, the other one gets healed anyway. So just take them on one at a time. You will have to deal with the adds, the extra little minions that get summoned. There we go, I sorted that out. Whoop. Okay, see, and then when you killed one, the other one goes into a rage. And I used a blank there to avoid that hit, otherwise that would have been a hit. You use your blanks, by the way. A lot of people don't use them because they don't want to waste them, but you get new blanks every floor, so don't worry about it. Cool, so when you've beat a boss without taking any damage, you get something called a Master Round, and that lets you have an extra 2 health points. It's like a heart container from Zelda. Here we have the Sell Creep. You can indeed sell things to him. You throw it down his little hatch and it will give you some money. It looks like I'm going to sell the crossbow here because I have the bow, and they're pretty much the same. Both not great items, to be honest, so traded that in for a little bit of money. So I tend to destroy all the chests that I can't open on a floor before I go, or I go and open ones. And here we have a smoke bomb. Now I grab this because I hatch a plan at this point, which will come into fruition later on in the run. The smoke bomb lets you turn invisible, but it also has a secondary function, which we'll see later. Okay, moving on to floor 2, and the difficulty in this game really does ramp up very quickly. You will see a notable jump in difficulty, especially from 2 to 3, but there's one here as well. There's a trap room, no enemies there. Lead Maidens. Now, these guys are the bane of many new players, because basically you have to shoot them while they're shooting at you. So you need to be good at dodging. I think I just took a hit anyway there, but yeah, the point still stands. You need to be dodging at the same time as shooting, and that's pretty much what they're there for, to teach you that skill. There is a good variety of enemies in this game. At any point you can open the Ammonomicon, which is a massive compendium of every item and enemy and boss in the game, and go read up on them. The enemies vary from floor to floor. These variants of the shotgun guys know some bullet magic, so they can, when they die, they shoot these long streams of bullets. So watch out, there's a few enemies that can actually hurt you after they've already died. Just, you know, just to make things even more difficult. These are all bullets. Bullets will kill themselves if you just leave them for a while. Chests. Now, I'm not sure if we'll run into one, but chests can be a mimic. And if you don't know what a mimic is, it's an item which is actually a monster pretending to be that item. So in most cases, I believe it comes from old Dungeons and Dragons lore, but in most cases they tend to be chests. There are, however, multiple different types of mimic in this game. There are chest mimics, there are podium mimics, there are wall mimics. Apparently there's even gun mimics, but I don't know if I've even run across one of those. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of variety to the enemies. That also means a lot of different patterns you're going to have to be watching out for at the same time. I mean, we had the normal shotgun guys and this ghost teleporting around here. And you need to prioritize what enemy you want to... which ones you want to be killing first. Okay, so here we are at the shop. There's a shop on every single floor, with the exception of the 5th floor. As you can just see, I used the smoke bomb to steal that loot bag. Now, as long as you don't get caught, stealing doesn't cause the shopkeeper to get angry with you. However, you do accumulate some curse points. Curse is one of the hidden stats of this game. There are a few. Curse causes some bad things to happen. So, first of all, chests might end up being mimics more often. They also might end up having a fuse attached to them and then blowing up more often. It also causes the jammed to appear. Now, the jammed are like elite enemies that have about triple the health pool. And they also deal double the damage of other enemy bullets. So you need to be watching out for those. The more curse that you have, the more likely the jammed are going to turn up, and bosses can also be jammed. So watch out for that. It's a risk reward. However, the curse does have one positive effect. It causes enemies to drop more money when you kill them. I've acquired the elephant gun, and I'm going to be using this for a while now because it's just one of those guns that's just handy, you know. It's easy to use. It's not got any crazy like gimmick to it. It just does a lot of damage. So I'm going to be hanging on to that one for a while. In fact, I'll refill it right up, right there. So this game's developed by Dodge Roll Games, who have assured us by their name at least that their games are going to have a dodge roll in it, which I'm fine with. A dodge roll with iframes is a welcome addition to any game. And it's published by Devolver Digital. Devolver are one of the only publishers that I really like in terms of video games. They seem to pick a lot of interesting things, a lot of different things. And they tend to support the developers quite well, from what I can tell. They've also got a great sense of humor, and they know what they're about. Okay, here is Winchester and his game. So you can pay a little bit of money to play this. And the idea is you've got 4 bullets to destroy all the targets. The more you destroy, the better reward he'll give you afterwards. Unfortunately, I'm going to mess this one up and only get two targets. Spoilers. I like to think I'm good at this game, but whenever I try and get any footage of me playing this game, I always fail get on this target thing. So, 1 target broken can get you a brown or a blue chest, 2 is a blue or a green, 3 is a green or a red, and 4 is a red or a black. And in case you didn't know, that is the order of rarity of chest as well. So it goes brown, blue, green, red, black. There is, of course, 2 other chests. There's synergy chests, which if you are holding an item that has a synergy, it will give you the other item for that synergy. So, you know, if you didn't know what a synergy was, it's if you're holding 2 items that work together, you get a bonus power for having both of those items. And finally, there's also rainbow chests. Now, rainbow chests give you 8 random items, but they're incredibly rare. I've only run across one of them my entire time playing, other than on rainbow runs. And here we have the Ammo Conda. Now, this guy is actually pretty difficult for a floor 2 boss. So much so that I've heard people say he should be swapped out for a floor 3 boss. I think he's difficult because he attacks you from almost all sides. He also has a lot of very random bullet patterns from very random positions. So there's not much predicting you can do. You've basically just got to dodge really well, use your blanks really well, and keep piling on the damage in the meantime. When it comes to bosses, I find it useful to keep your distance from them, just far enough so you can see them. That way you have plenty of time to dodge. Luckily though, I do kill him without taking a hit, thanks again to a last second blank. And I get another master round. And we're on to floor number 3. Of course, first of all, if you can't open a chest, just destroy it. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. You can have armor, health, and ammo pickups sometimes, but otherwise it will spawn junk, and junk does have its uses. They are very minor, but even if you don't get any use out of it, at the very least you can sell it to the self creep and it'll give you a few pennies. There is a very good item you can get from junk that you have a 20% chance to find if you've never found it before. Okay, switching over to the alternate universe again. I'm going to show you a little trick. If you find the vampire will give you money if you give her some health. So what I'm doing here is I got spare health at the end of this floor. So I'm just basically using that spare health to feed it to the vampire. There we go, and fill it all up again. Now, if you got really lucky, and not only did you get the spare health, but you also get a first aid room, you can give her all of your health but one, go to the first aid room, and just get all your health back. By the way, I love the first aid girls, because that's how they give first aid. They just smash a fairy over your head. There you are. All done. And they're out of medicine, so they're going to do it once. It's a great little joke in a game full of great little stupid jokes. Right, so I showed the Ammo Conda, but I figured I would also show, while I'm on this character, another boss of floor 2. This is the Gorgon. The Gorgon I personally think is the easiest floor 2 boss. I've seen other people that really don't like it, but her patterns, are, other than this attack right here, her patterns are actually really easy to deal with. It's just keeping your distance. Make sure you roll through that, or it will jam your weapons and cause them not to be fired. But if you keep your distance, you can just roll through every single attack like that. I sometimes use my blank on that one because it's a little harder to avoid. And there you go. There's the Gorgon. It looks like I'm doing pretty good on the alternate universe too. So you will always get some items for beating the boss, even if you don't perfect it like that. In that case, I got a bullet upgrade, and they tend to be some of the best items in the game. So if you see an item that looks like different types of ammo, then usually I would say grab it. Okay. So I'm just gonna try and outrun this enemy here that looks like a like from from Zelda. I think it's called that. I didn't do my Zelda research before doing this video. I apologize. So floor 3, different hazards. Oh, and I got a free chest. The dog is a good boy. The dog is the hunter's passive ability. It has a 5% chance to find a bonus item at the end of the room. This is completely independent of your normal chances, so you can sometimes get 2 items at the end of one room, which is, as you might imagine, very, very useful. Okay, once again, it's important to prioritize which enemies you kill first. Unfortunately, I didn't there, but I would normally go for those big mushroom guys first because they are a lot of trouble. Just in case you didn't notice, if you see a lantern, a purple lantern outside of a door, it means that door probably leads to a shop or an NPC of some kind. So you know that it's a safe route to take. When I'm exploring the Gungeon, I tend to take these routes first, just so you can, map out things without any risk, because the later floors do pose quite a lot of risk. The difficulty really does spike. Here we have Cthulhu. He likes to make portals, shoot bullets. We don't want to let him do that, so get rid of him. And the spiders were added in an update, actually. I think the trickiest part about them is that they teleport. But they don't take a lot of damage. So they're not too bad. Okay. We had a little bonus buddy there. Those guys and the key bullets act in the same way. As soon as you come in the room, they will run away from you, and you have to chase them down and kill them before they disappear. If you do, you get a key or a bonus item like ammo or armor. If you don't, you just lose them. So the thing is, many a time I have taken damage trying to get these things. So just consider your safety first. And I use my smoke bomb here to get out of that tough jam, and then I get hit anyway. Another thing I've learned is to not save your active item so much. I would usually save my active item and not use it until bosses, because I thought, well, what if I need it in a tough spot? Thing is, if you do that, you're never using it anyway, so there's no point. And the cooldown is actually on how much damage you do, not on how much time has passed. So as long as you're shooting, you'll get to use your active items pretty often anyway. You might notice a few rats scurrying around this particular room. That's because this room is actually a secret entrance to one of the secret floors. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and spoil the surprise about what it is. I just wanted to point out that it does exist. There is a trapdoor somewhere in there that leads to a secret floor. Of course, it's not that easy to get in even when you found the trapdoor, so... The room compositions are actually pretty varied as well. There's only a couple of rooms that I recognize as being something that you see all the time. Occasionally you'll see a room after playing for a while and you'll be like, yeah, okay, yeah, this room, but for the most part, it keeps you on the toes. There's a good variety. Here's an interesting fact. The blue shotgun guys will never get in minecarts. I don't know why this is, but they just won't. They'll, even in this room, where the other three got in minecarts, he just won't do it. Guess he hates minecarts. So, I mentioned earlier that there are hidden stats, and I talked a little bit about Curse. What I didn't mention about Curse is that if you have 10 Curse, a unkillable Grim Reaper will follow you around forever, and well, forever until you get rid of your curse. So you need to be careful. Here I get one of the Payday items, which summons one of the characters from Payday to help you, as long as you wear the mask. You also get an additional Payday character following you for the other Payday items you get. So I have the idea at this point to go and steal the last of the Payday items, and now I have the whole crew from Payday following me around. So now this is a payday run. And now things are going to get a lot smoother for me, since I basically have 4 companions, including the dog, just follow me around helping me. The final item I got from the payday set was the drill. The drill is really good. It lets you open any chest without the use of keys, as long as you fight 2 waves of enemies beforehand. You'll also notice I just got something called a glass guanstone. These are little shields that will orbit your character, and they will stay there and block bullets until you take a hit. If you take a hit, then they will smash. And here we go, I'm going to use the drill. The chest room expands, and we just have to take out a couple of waves of enemies, and we get whatever's in the chest for free. Really, really good item. There we are. I got the Scrambler, which is actually a very good gun. Fires an egg, and then whatever's in the egg then goes and attacks whatever you fight it at, so does a lot of damage over time. So let's take the payday crew and move on to the floor 3 boss, which is this tank guy, the Treadnought. That was it, nearly forgot the name. So all I'm going to be doing on this one is backing up and firing the Scrambler. Luckily, even if I miss with this weapon, the damage over time will still apply, because the extra bullets actually home in on the enemy. There's a lot going on in this fight. You can use the pillars to block bullets, but just remember that the Treadnought's main cannon will actually destroy the pillars. There we go, and because of the payday crew, I make short work of the Treadnought and get the 3rd master round. So far a pretty good run. I mean, it's going to be, because I showed the best run of the 3 or 4 that I did, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit. But you do get better over time at this game. When you first start, you'll very rarely be making it past the 2nd floor. Taking a look at the Ammonomicon there, just to see what my new item did. After a while, when you get used to the bosses, when you get used to the patterns, when you get used to the guns, and unlock more things, you'll be making it further and further every time. Now, a lot of modern-day roguelikes and roguelites, as they're sometimes called, will power up your character over your multiple runs. That isn't the case with Gungeon. You do unlock better weapons, but they're never directly applied to your character. You have to get better at the game. I think that's one of the reasons why people consider this game so difficult, because there's not really a helping hand. The game does get slightly easier because of the new unlocks, but overall it's still going to be down to how good you are at dodging bullets and how good you are at using what items you have. So floor 4 is the Hollow, and it's kind of ice themed, I suppose. So there are enemies that will use freeze attacks and somewhat immune to cold and ice. This is where the game really starts to up the difficulty. I mean, it does all along, but floor 4 was always noticeable for me of a run-ending floor. There is no more mercy. Okay, so this guy here, you want to kill him first. The guy with the green, the guy that was sort of singing or something. He will increase the health and defense of nearby enemies. Some of them can do it just to one enemy, some of them can do it to all enemies in the room. So you really need to prioritize them. Unfortunately, they like to run away for that exact reason. They're extremely dangerous. But we managed to take him out. At least my payday crew is really putting in the work. And so is the elephant gun, actually. Okay, so this particular cell creep in this particular room is a little bit different on floor 4. I'm not going to say what happens, but maybe if you gave him one of your master rounds and a few other items, maybe something will happen. I don't want to spoil the secrets of the Gungeon for you guys. Now, the fact is you're probably going to end up looking on the wiki anyway with this game, because there's so many items and weapons that you might want to look up what some of the synergies do at the very least. Because the synergies aren't really explained in game, and some other weapons and items aren't explained very well. That's on purpose though, because they're supposed to be kind of secretive. For example, if you ever get the pig, don't look up what it does. Just don't worry about it. Just trust the pig, okay? Okay, this is Blockner. He's one of the mini bosses. He likes to show up and make a nuisance of himself. He's not actually that hard. I mean, I know I did just take some damage from him, but he's got a fairly predictable pattern. And he's dropped a map of the floor, which is always useful. Every floor has 2 chest rooms in it, a shop, and a boss. It can also have lots of other things, lots of other NPCs, and it can also have a secret room. A secret room is one that you can only open up if you use a blank in the room next to it. How you will know that is kind of difficult. So apparently walls that you can use a blank on are coloured ever so slightly different, but it's so subtle that you won't normally spot it. You can also get a map like I have, or if you use any item except for, if you use any gun except for your starting gun on a wall which is breakable by a blank, the wall will start to have cracks in it when you shoot it. So, I've had a look at the map, and it looks like we're going to be heading to the left here, because that's where the boss is, and we'll be stopping off at a chest room if there is one available. There's an enemy there called a Gummy, and they summon jammed zombie bullets. You want to be taking out them pretty quick as well, for obvious reasons. You don't want them summoning more enemies onto the screen. I'm currently using a item which causes me to lose money if I get hit, but get a lot more money when I kill enemies. Bit of a trade-off, but luckily I'm not getting hit too much. It's another one of the payday items. Okay, looks like the boss is up to the north there, but I'm going down to get the chest. It's best to try and get as many items as you can. When it gets to floor 5, I don't always go for the other chests. Usually I've got everything I need by then. Plus floor 5 is pretty difficult, so you don't want to be taking unnecessary risk. This guy here likes to steal your bullets and fire them back at you. So you have to sort of shoot him as he's shooting you. Like we were talking about with the Iron Maidens. Remember not to roll too much during this game. I know the game gives you an invincible roll and you feel like using it all the time, but it's a way of getting yourself killed if you do. More often than not, you will roll directly into the path of the enemy bullets. So, teach yourself to avoid bullets without rolling. Just keep an eye on the bullet and where your character is in relation to it. It's kind of common sense, but it's the only way to get good. Okay, and that is a black chest, which is the rarest standard chest. Looks like we've got the Disintegrator, which is a charge-up beam weapon. Does a ton of damage, and it has an extreme range, which is why it's like an S rank weapon. It's S or A rank anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head. Checking the shop for anything else before we move on to the boss. And this is a trap room. I hate trap rooms. Trap rooms damage me more than actual enemy rooms. And here we go, floor 4 boss. Spoilers are all of them are awful. And here we have the priest, the high priest. So, the high priest isn't so bad if you keep really far away from him. He is actually my least favorite floor 4 boss to fight. Just because there's so much on the screen at once. I use a blank to take him out there. Now, luckily I have the Payday crew here to really lay on the DPS, so I kind of melt him, really. And there's another perfect boss. Here we have a synergy. It's made my blue Guanstone faster and bigger. It's always useful. Now, I would say that's been a perfect 4 bosses in a row, but the reason I showed you the alternate universe on the first boss is because I actually took a hit on the first boss. Which is kind of annoying since it's the easiest boss. Chamber 5. Now, I mentioned that the story of this game is that we want to kill these characters' pasts. We want to go back in time and stop a regret from happening. Thing is, when you first... This is a slight spoiler, but it's nothing too bad. When you first beat the final boss and you get the gun that can kill the past, you realize that the gun alone isn't strong enough to send you back in time far enough to kill the past. You also need a bullet that will also do the job. So, the overall goal of the game at first is to construct the bullet that can kill the past. Now, you can find a piece of that bullet from every floor from 2 onwards. So floor 2, floor 3, floor 4, and floor 5 all have a piece of the bullet that you have to collect and then take to the forge on the 5th floor. Which is where we'll head very soon. Now, once you have constructed the bullet remains constructed for every run after that. You can also do this over multiple runs, so don't worry, you don't have to do it all at once. That would be absolutely ridiculously hard. Whatever part you give to the forge master, the smith, I don't remember her name. Whatever piece of the bullet you give her, it stays with her. So once you've constructed the bullet, however, you do have to go and collect it each time you want to try and kill the past. So before challenging the boss of floor 5, we do need to go find the forge so we can pick up the bullet. The boss of floor 5 is called the High Dragon, and for the early game at least, it is the final boss of the game. There might be other final bosses later on, but I will leave that to your own discovery. Looks like the dog finds a key. And you can now pet the dog. That was introduced in the latest update. So normally I wouldn't spend much time exploring floor 5 because it's just a lot of danger. Things have really got kind of crazy at this point. But I have got a lot of keys, so if I come across an easy chest to get, I'm going to grab that chest. There was an enemy there that caused jammed enemies to appear, so we got rid of him pretty quick. Of the payday guys, one guy will cause mini blanks in front of you. One guy will stun enemies, and one guy will attack with a shotgun. So, incredibly useful to have. Looks like we have a shop there. This shopkeeper sells things for keys, and I've got a lot of keys, so I grabbed this heart locket here. Heart locket just gives you an extra 2 health points, so any item that gives you extra health is super useful. Alright, looks like we got a green chest. However, this is a mimic. You can tell if it's a mimic by looking very closely. Before you open a chest, you can see that the chest is slightly moving. It is breathing. If you're playing as the hunter, the dog will also bark. Of course, you can also just shoot the chest once. Be careful not to shoot it too much because you'll break it. I got the bloodied scarf, which is a very good item. It changes your role into a teleport. Now, as good as it is, I am terrible at using it. And so I blame this for the reason why I don't perfect the 5th floor boss on this particular run. But maybe that's just me being salty. The problem is that I usually hold the roll button to roll. But tapping the dodge button with this equipped and holding it do completely different things, so it kind of throws me off a couple of times. It looks cool to have a big old hero cape though. Big old hero scarf. There are actually parts of the floor on this particular room which will just set you on fire. So a lot to think about when you get to this point in the game. Something I wanted to mention as well is that once you have killed the past, you will come across some normal enemies that wear red capes, some normal gundead. If you do find one of those, they're pretty rare. Maybe it's best not to kill them. Maybe it's best just to wait till they run away on their own. Just saying. I would stress that no matter what you learn about this game, the only real way to get good at it is just to persevere and just to lose a lot. That's kind of the appeal to me of a lot of roguelikes, but not everyone feels the same way. Failure is a teacher, and it's probably the best teacher there is.
Something I didn't mention earlier is that you can find NPCs trapped in cells on any floor from the second chamber onwards. You have to find the golden key to get them out, and this is being held by a random enemy on the floor. That includes the boss, so look for those because the more NPCs you can get, the easier time you're going to have.
There are some enemies that act as mini bosses, I guess you would call them. The Lead Maiden that we saw earlier is an example of this. Basically big enemies that are a bit more tricky to deal with. And the floor 5 variant of this is pretty difficult. You see these bullets with the broken top? Funny thing is, they can't actually hit you if you just stand still. They actually fire around you. But what often happens is you panic and then you get hit by it anyway. So here we are, this is the forge. We talk to the blacksmith here. She will give us the bullet that can kill the past. And with that, we can go and find the High Dragon. The forge will always have 3 normal items and 3 like armor, health, and ammo, and then 3 upgrade items like weapons or passive items. So here we are, the High Dragon, the final boss of the early game. The screen actually zooms out for this boss, and the first few times you fight this, he seems extremely intimidating because you've just come all this way and you've finally made it, and there's a long hallway to get to him, and the camera zooms out, and it's all very dramatic. However, personally, I think the High Dragon is easier than any of the floor 4 bosses. I mean, I immediately took a hit there because of the bloody scarf thing I was mentioned earlier. But yeah, I personally think his attacks are well telegraphed, they're easy to dodge. And yeah, he's a big target as well, so you don't exactly have to aim. He does have 2 phases, and there is an advanced version of him you can fight if you can figure out how. I'm switching guns here to the Scrambler because I took a couple of hits. You may have noticed already, but I have a couple of items that slow down time. I have the red eye that... Is it blood eye? Red eye? Which slows down bullets, and then I have the blue guan stone which slows down time if I get hit. And here is the second and final phase. As scary as this looks, this is actually easier. It's as simple as rolling from one place to the next. Now I'm using the bloodied scarf, so this really throws me off. But yeah, it's actually not that difficult. And then you just find your strongest gun you've got and just wail away on his exposed heart. You'll then shield it and he'll do the same attack again, and you just keep repeating this until you kill him. This is more of a victory lap in my opinion than anything else. And the Payday guys they're going to town on him. And here we go. Let's just wail on that heart. And that's that. That's the High Dragon. Now, something to note is one of the pieces of the bullet is right here. If you destroy the skull, there's a piece of the bullet hidden in it. So you do actually have to kill the dragon before you can get the bullet that can kill the past anyway. Now, you don't take... What we're going to do next is kill the past. You don't take much of your items with you, but from what I understand, you do take your armor with you. So I decided to buy all that armor because I'm not going to need the money anyway. Let's do it. Let's go through and kill the past. So, there are spoilers of the past of the hunter coming up. So, if you don't want to be spoiled on that and you want to do it yourself, then now's the time to jump out. I wonder where that hole leads. Bizarre. We're going to go around it for now. Here we go. The ultimate chest of all. The gun that can kill the past. Looks kind of unsafe to shoot. And here we go. So every character has their own unique past, a regret of something they did, and you go into the past to try and overcome it with your new abilities that you've learned in the Gungeon. So the hunter was frozen in cryogenic stasis for thousands of years, and she wants to go back and stop that from happening, so that she never ended up in the Gungeon. So these past killing bosses, luckily they aren't too tricky. They give you a set weapons and set abilities, so you lose everything you had before. But they aren't too difficult, luckily, because it must be really gutting to make it all this way and then lose to the what's essentially another victory lap. Here we go. There's no need to perfect this one, you don't get anything special, but this is Dr. Wolf's monster. You get the sticky crossbow, I believe, for this one, which is a decent enough weapon to use. And it goes with the theme of this being in the past. Very Dr. Frankenstein's monster. If you just keep your distance and just keep firing, then this is pretty easy. And that's that. Past has been killed. And we get the credits. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sticking out the whole video. I hope you've learned a few things. I hope you've seen why I love this game so much. It's got so much to it, and you've only seen a snippet of what's actually available. Because there's hundreds of items and weapons, secret bosses that I've already alluded to. And you can see it all yourself. It's pretty cheap. And I want to say thank you to Dodge Roll Games and Devolver Digital for one of my favorite games in recent times, really. If you want to see me do more on Gungeon, then let me know. Other than that, stick around, subscribe. There's plenty more to come. If you want to talk about this, I have got a Discord where we chat about random stuff. I also stream on Twitch, and see it all in the description. And if you can help out on Patreon, that'd be awesome too. Love you guys. We killed the past, but the Gungeon remains.